Good morning. My name is Reverend Dr. David Goldberg on behalf of Reverend Susan Gum and this extraordinary Unity on the Avenue community. Thank you for joining us in our new reality and our new norm. What we know is time and space are human constructs, and it's a joy to be with you in any way, in any form. And thank you so much to those of you who continue to give, continue to contribute, and continue to tithe. It is through your gifts that we're able to continue to upgrade our technology, support our amazing musicians, our amazing online presence, and everything that we do with you and for you. So thank you. And on your screen now are a number of ways that you can continue to contribute to Unity on the Avenue. And for those of you who are giving, thank you. You are blessed, and we are blessed by your gifts. For those of you who may not have stepped into that yet, I invite you to do that. So pick one of these avenues, one of these venues to give to Unity on the Avenue, and make that happen. Please engage in that today, do that today. There are a number of ways, as you can tell. We always welcome your gifts. We welcome your checks. Please do give online. You can text to give, whatever works for you. They are all safe, they are all secure, and we benefit tremendously. Thank you. Thank you for your consideration and for your gift. Please join me in a blessing as you hold your gift or tithe, either physically or in consciousness. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. And now, friends, it brings me great joy to reintroduce Pamela and Greg. They continue to bring their amazing consciousness and share their beautiful gifts of music with us all. Please enjoy.
I'm going to share with you a song that was written by David Newman. It's called Love Heals All Wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals. Love heals. Love heals all wounds. I found a house to call my home, another soul to call my own. I was drifting through and I found you. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals. Love heals. Love heals all wounds. I took some here and I gave some there. I didn't know it was everywhere. In a sea of blue, it came shining through. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals. Love heals. Love I held on tight, but it slipped away. I felt brand new, and it came through. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals all wounds. Love heals. Love heals. Love heals all wounds.
Pamela and Greg, thank you. So grateful to both of you. Thank you for continuing to share your gifts. We all benefit greatly. So today we are continuing the conversation that Reverend Susan started a few weeks ago around this glorious little book called The Gentle Art of Blessing, a simple practice that will transform you and your world. And today, specifically for our linear thinkers, we're covering chapters 7 and 8, the law of unconditional love and the law of universal harmony. So I had the opportunity to travel to Nairobi, Kenya some years ago to do a service project. And one of the things that was shared with us as part of our training is that these young people in this orphanage are amazing. They were what we would call K through 12, 100 students, and they all happen to be HIV positive or living with AIDS. And by way of orphanages, this was a very nice orphanage in that it happened to be run by the Catholic Church, and the campus, in addition to all of the general buildings that everybody used, was comprised of individual homes. So it was a series of 4-bedroom homes. Each home had an adult that lived in the home with the children, and each bedroom had 4 bunk beds. So doing the math, 16 kids and 1 adult per home. And we were also told that these kids were used to having people come in to help them and support them. And so just to be conscious, you know, you and I might say that we weren't getting worked over, for lack of a better term, just so we were grounded in who we are and what we were doing and how we were proceeding. So there we were, 20 very Anglo-looking American folks spread out across this giant field, this giant courtyard, and the bell rang, and all of the kids were out of school for the day, and they were coming to greet us. And so there were 20 of us, there were 100 kids moving toward us, and for those of us of a certain age, I had a particular $6 million man moment. I locked eyes with this one little guy, probably 7 or 8 years old, and he's running, and he's running, and he's running, and I said, he's gonna jump. He's gonna leap into my arms. And so I spread my legs, and I prepare for this, and sure enough, this little guy just leaps up, and he lands right in my arms, and it was a joyous homecoming, a joyous reunion. I had never met him before, and it felt like we had been connected forever. So we started having a conversation, and I'm holding him, and he's visiting with me, and a number of my friends and colleagues are going through the same thing. And all of a sudden he says, "Do you want to see my room?" And I said, "Sure, I would love to see your room." And we walked in, we walked across the courtyard, we walked into his house, and he's pointing out, this is the kitchen, and these are the other bedrooms, and this is my room, and this is where I stay with, you know, these 3 other kids. And I thought, that was great, and he's showing me all around. And as we're walking out to leave his house, in the living room, right by the front door, is this crib. And there's this giant soul with short legs, and his name is Kevin. And Kevin is standing up in his crib, and he's completely dressed. He has on his shirt, his pants, his belt, his shoes, his socks. He's got on this sharp little vest, and he is just standing there kind of whimpering. And I didn't know necessarily what to do, what was mine to do, and so intuitively I just reached in and I picked up Kevin. And I would share with you that we spent the next 4 hours together. We went to the church service, and guess what? This happened to be Kevin's first birthday. So I'm just holding him and I'm not letting him go. He is more my security blanket than I his. And all of his brothers and sisters, his 99 brothers and sisters, are coming up to say happy birthday. All of the clergy people and nuns and people who are working in the orphanage know that it's his birthday. And I'm just not letting go of this little guy. And he's just humming the songs, and he's keeping beat, and he's just really present with me. And it was an amazing experience. And honestly, I probably would have still been holding him much longer when one of the nurses came forward and said, "Kevin, there you are. It's time for your medication." And she kind of started to teasingly scold him when, of course, it was all my fault that he wasn't where he needed to be. So I share that with you by way of a moment in my life where I felt unconditional love. I was giving it and I was receiving it. This little guy knew nothing about me, who knew nothing of my story, what I did, what I didn't do, how much money I made, where I worked, if I had a car. He didn't care. And in that moment, I didn't care. So that was a wonderful experience of unconditional love in my life. And now I invite you into that space. When is a time in your recent history where you were able to be in that experience, where you were able to give and receive unconditional love? Take a moment and be with that. And now I just invite you into that space of what was that like for you? So take some time over the course of the next week, be in that. What you were able to give and what you were able to receive around unconditional love. You know, one of the things that I so appreciated in the book that Pradervad was explaining and writing about is that it's impossible for us to bless and judge at the same time. Isn't that an interesting thought? Now, to be clear, I believe that judgment serves us. We all judge all day, every day. That is how, as adults, that we are able to make our way through the world, right? We're always making decisions. We're always making choices. So our conversation today, then, contextually, is not about making judgment bad, but rather it's about seeking that balance. So for those of us who might find ourselves in that place of perhaps on the end of the energetic spectrum where we're judging more than we might like, the invitation then is to move into blessing. Because when I am blessing Ken, when I am loving Ken, when I am honoring Ken, when I am raising Ken, it's harder for me to be in judgment about what I might like or not like about the way he's showing up in my life. Because of course, after all, it is all about me. So judgment is not a bad thing. The invitation is to be more in that place of blessing and more in that place of balance. Recognizing that many know how to read, there is one particular quote that I wanted to share with you that just spoke to my heart. And for those who have the book, it is on page 82. I love it when he writes, "Each of us, by the quality of our thoughts, can become an agent of transformation to the world." Wow. Each of us, by the quality of our thoughts, can become an agent of transformation to the world. And isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that, for those of us on this spiritual path, we are co-creating our existence with the divine. We are agents for transformational change in the world. You know, I love the chant that goes, I cannot do all the good that the world needs, and the world needs all the good I can do. I took a little bit of artistic license and changed the but to and, because I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, and the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, and the world needs all the good that I can do. Join me. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, and the world needs all the good that I can do. And now, dear friends, we absolutely know that Pamela and Greg's jobs are very safe. That is not something I step into often, and it just speaks to my heart. And I really appreciate the poem that follows that on the same page. Your natural state is the ecstatic experience of love. It is simply the conscious experience, our aliveness made manifest, shared. Love does not happen to us. We happen it. We happen it by removing that which blocks it. Living a life is simply a process of removing those barriers to experiencing love. And so that is what we are here to do. We are here to learn, to grow, to expand, and to love. You know, as we move into chapter 8, then, the invitation is open your heart and allow the blessings to flow. And as has been said many times, when we pray twice. Once for the person or the circumstance that we're putting the prayer or the treatment forth, and we also benefit as that person offering the prayer. So you see, when we move into this place of blessing, when we move into this place of recognition of the divinity in someone other than ourselves, it also benefits us, because when we do that, we are raising the vibration on the planet. We're raising the energy, one being, one sentient being at a time. So the other thing that I appreciate then, as we move into the law of universal harmony, is what we know to be true as metaphysicians, as practitioners of New Thought, is that what is in the highest and best for one must be in the highest and best for all. So as Reverend Susan is moving through her journey and stepping into her greater yet to be that's taking her to another state, we know that she is absolutely blessed in all that she is doing, the integrity with which she is moving through the process and caring for this beloved community. And we know that if it's in the highest and best for Reverend Susan, it must be in the highest and best for this community and for all. And oftentimes when I pray or treat, I will say this or something better, or I will invoke and call in the highest and best, regardless of what it might look like to my human eyes. And on more than one occasion, I've had somebody challenge me and say, are you prescribing to God what you want or what you need or how to do this? Are you really trying to tell God what to do? It's like, well, you know, sometimes I can be pretty bold and I can be pretty confident, and I would never presume to tell God, to tell Spirit, to tell my higher power what to do. When I invoke those words, when I say this or something better, when I say the highest and best, it's got nothing to do with trying to guide or direct, and it's got everything to do with me reminding myself, or me reminding my human self, that whatever I may be calling in, I want to keep the field open for whatever Spirit has in mind that, of course, would be higher and better for me. You know, as we talk about the law of universal harmony or the law of divine love, it strikes me that we need to reflect in general contextually about universal laws. What we know to be true then is that universal laws affect everyone without exception, right? It's like the law of gravity. You can say, I don't believe in gravity, and gravity doesn't care. When you speak those words, you're not going to be floating off into space. Gravity is a universal law that affects all, the conscious and the unconscious. So too with universal laws. They are simply laws that keep us grounded, and then we co-create with the divine what that looks like in our human or our physical experience. You know, it's also fascinating to me that the author speaks to repeating our lessons until we have the opportunity to get it, right? Until we learn what we're supposed to learn. And I share with you an example that part of it was alluded to in the book, and this is my own example, my personal example. I have a delightful friend. She is fun, she is creative, she is in her 70s, she has purple hair, she has pets, her mother is still living with her. She's just an amazing being with a huge heart and an amazing consciousness. And she contacted me a few years ago to perform her wedding, to perform her 5th wedding. And I said, I love you, I support you, you absolutely deserve to be happy. How are you going to show up differently in this relationship that, you know, might add, my word, not hers, might add to your track record, that you might have more longevity in this relationship than perhaps with your other relationships? And she had already gotten there. She was there. She was way ahead of me. She said, you know what, this time my husband and I are going to live together. And I thought about that and I said, so you did not cohabitate with your previous 4 husbands? She said, no, you know, circumstances just didn't permit, and we loved each other and we got married, and sometimes we were in the same city in different houses, and sometimes we were in different states, and once we were actually in different countries, and you know, it was fun, and it wasn't what she wanted in a relationship. So she had already gotten to the place of, yes, I want to do this again, and yes, I'm going to show up differently so I can have a different result. She lives about 6 blocks from right here at Unity on the Avenue. She and her husband are doing swimmingly, they're living together, they're sharing their home with 4 cats, and life is good. So we also talk about, or we also read about programming our lives. And I agree with that. I have slightly different languaging. I say that we are co-creating our lives with our experience of the divine, whatever she or he or it may look like to us. So as we co-create, yes, that's absolutely what we're here to do. The one power, the one presence gave us these hearts, gave us these minds so that we can use them, so that we can engage them, so that we can co-create a magnificent existence. Now, in that effort, I'm really clear who the senior partner is and who the junior partner is. And I know that I can absolutely affect my tomorrow and all of my tomorrows by co-creating. I also appreciate the point where it is where Einstein is referenced, and it says somebody was asking him about the future of the world and what he thinks of humankind, and pondering the deepest of the deep questions. And the quote from Einstein is, his question is the universe friendly? And again, my friends, as metaphysicians, what we know, what I know to be true at the core of my being, is that the universe is always conspiring for our good, and that spirit always has my back. So is the universe friendly? Absolutely. My affirmation, every time I leave my house, every time I get into my car, is I live in a loving and safe universe and I am loving and safe. That is what I know to be true. So, Spirit, God, the higher power, Mother Earth, Dr. Seuss, whatever your definition of that divine presence, is always conspiring for your good, regardless of what it might look like to you in the right here, in the right now. The other powerful piece of the book that I really appreciate is the opportunity to reinterpret our past. I know many have done work around our past story and what is a part of us and race consciousness and so forth. And the invitation that I get from the book is we get to rewire, we get to rewrite, we get to rethink how we do that, how we think about our past. So the point is, whatever has happened to you in the past, the invitation is you get to love it, you get to honor it, you get to bless it, and you get to look at it, right? Is it still serving me for me to have this particular view of that event? Or do I get to bless it and let it go and create room for more good, calling in more of what I want? Because you see, everything is energy and information until we choose to label it. So if I choose to say, oh, that was bad, okay, then that was bad. But what if I choose to say, that was good? Or, right out of high school, I spent a couple of years touring with an international musical group, and my mom said I learned 2 words during that experience, interesting and unique. Oh, well, isn't that an interesting experience? And didn't she show up in a unique way? So how can you change the label? How can you rewrite your story or your interpretation of your story? There's one more quote that really spoke to me, and that is on page 95. And it says, ultimately, anyone going through life with a load of resentment for some past action or inaction will discover that by blessing those who seem to have caused their suffering, they will soon be completely free, both of the suffering and of the resentment. That's a powerful piece, my friend. So again, the academic in me, the teacher in me, wants to give you just a little bit of homework before we get together next week. And that is, if you have that person in your life that's a little scratchy, that yeah, maybe you've forgiven them, but by gosh, you're not going to forget. Or, whether it's an old hurt or a new hurt or a resentment, whatever that looks like, I invite you to pull up the picture of that person, either physically or metaphorically in your mind, and place them on your altar for the next week. And as you move into your spiritual practice, I want you to pray for them. I want you to treat for them. I want you to praise them and raise them, and know that they too are perfect expressions of the divine, even when they've shown up in interesting ways in your life. Because you see, that's exactly the invitation of the book, and that is what we know to be true. Again, when we pray, we're praying twice. We're praying for the individual and praying for ourselves. So you're putting positive energy into the universe. You are raising and praising this person. You are recognizing them as an expression of the divine. That doesn't mean you have to agree with or accept what they may or may not have done to you. What you are doing is freeing yourself, right? We've all heard the analogy that when we carry that resentment, when we carry that hatred, when we carry that anger, it's like drinking hemlock and expecting the other person to die. So try that over the course of the next week. Pull up that picture, praise and raise that individual. And this doesn't have to go on and on. This is a 2-minute drill. This is 90 seconds. And you're going to put it out there in your offering prayer, and you're releasing this person into their greater yet to be. Finally, I'm reminded of the story that has been interpreted many ways through many lenses, and it is of the clergy, the monks. Hundreds of years ago, there were a couple of monks who were traveling from city to city, hamlet to hamlet, town to town. And when they arrived in a town, they pulled out a stone out of their travel bag, and they offered it to anybody who would listen, whether it was somebody they were staying with or townspeople, whatever that looked like. And they said, this creates a wonderful soup. And so that was their offering to the townspeople or to their hosts, and they gave them this stone, and all you have to do is put it in boiling water, and it's amazing. It creates this amazing, healthy, wonderful elixir of life. And so they would do that. The host would take the stone and put it in a pot of boiling water and taste it, and they're like, this just tastes like water. And the monk would say, but it just needs a few spices. Might you have some savory spices to add? So then they added the spices, and it tasted like less than watered down water. And then they said, but it needs some, not their words, but it needs some protein, perhaps lamb or goat or beef or whatever might be available. Then they added the protein. And then they added some vegetables, whatever might be around, onions and carrots and potatoes. And then finally, the host tasted it and said, oh my gosh, this stone really is magical. This stone soup really is amazing. And so then the monk would say, well, thank you for your hospitality. As our gift to you, please keep the stone. And the whole point is perspective, right? So we are inviting people into community. We are inviting people into connection. We are inviting into that space and that place where we can harmonize with them. And what I know for you, beloveds, on this amazing day is that you are absolutely loved unconditionally, and that you are absolutely in harmony with your interpretation, your understanding of your higher being. Please join me in prayer.
In this moment, in this place, I remember letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes to see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Indeed, how absolutely magnificent to remember that in the positive energy vortex that has been so created so beautifully here today, that there is only love. That is who we are. That is what we have come here to do. That is how we choose to express. We are only love. And as we move into that place of doing that more, we offer it from a place of blessing for the people, for the places, for the things, for the circumstances. For every moment of our lives, every moment of our days is a blessing. So we become conscious of that. We love it, we own it, we lean into it, and we allow it to be our reality. And two, we are absolutely harmonious with that one power, with that one presence that I choose to call Spirit and goes by so many names. What we know is that we honor all paths to the divine, including those who may not be on a spiritual path. Each individual knows at their core what is right for them because they are held in the hands of Spirit. They are that universal, ubiquitous love. They are that universal harmony. So I know that for myself. I know that for the beloveds in this space. I know that for all who are within the sound of my voice. And as we go forth into the rest of this day and into this week, we just allow ourselves to be grounded in that spirit, in that oneness, in that love, as we bless everything that we encounter, the intimate and the inanimate, in, around, and through, as above, so below. So it is from this place of deep thanksgiving and tremendous gratitude that I release. I release, I let go, I allow it to be. I know that all is well. God is magnificent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. And please join me in a moment of silence.
When I lose myself and it seems I've lost my way, then I go inside and quiet my mind and hear Spirit gently say, there is only love, there is only love, love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Glorious. Again, thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Greg. And thank you to you. We know that you feel the energy. We know that you are with us. And please know that we carry you in our hearts this day, this week, and beyond. And for those of you who are looking for ways to continue to connect with our beloved Unity on the Avenue community, there are still things happening, and we invite you into the Zoom weekly meditations. That happens Wednesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. As well, the ongoing book discussion, there are several groups that are happening, and there's always room for you. So check us out online. Know that you are loved. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your consciousness. Thank you for continuing to be who you are, elevating and raising the energy on the planet. We need you now more than ever. You are loved and you are a blessing. Be well.
Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. Say the word I'm thinking of. Have you heard the word is love? It's so fine, it's sunshine. It's the word love. In the beginning I misunderstood, but now I've got it, the word is good. Spread the word and you'll be free. Spread the word and be like me. Spread the word I'm thinking of. Have you heard the word is love? It's so fine, it's sunshine. It's the word love.
Everywhere I go, I hear it said, in the good and the bad books that I have read.